Throughout the course, I told you that our variables are accessible within the block in which they are declared. So if we declare a variable here, this variable is only accessible within this block. Technically, we say this is a local variable because it's local to this function, so it's invisible to other functions. And we say this variable has the local scope. In contrast to local variables, we have global variables which are declared outside of all functions, so they're accessible by all functions. Here's an example. If we declare a variable here like tax rate, we say this is a global variable and it has the global scope, so it's accessible by all our functions. So if we define a function for calculating the tax, calculate tax, we don't have to pass this variable as an argument to this function. So this function only needs to take the sales, so integer sales, and it doesn't need a second parameter like tax rate, because in this function, we can access this global variable. So here we can return sales times tax rate, okay? Now on the surface, you might think this is a great idea. We can declare all our variables as global, and this way we don't have to pass them around. But in reality, global variables can lead to programming problems because different functions can change them and it's hard to track how they get changed. A global variable is like a book at a library that is shared by multiple people. Now, each person can write notes in that book, and over time, that book ends up being a mess. It would be much better if every person had their own copy of a given book, right? That is the situation with local and global variables. So for the most part, you should avoid using global variables. There are a few exceptions to this rule though. One of them is the singleton design pattern, which is an advanced concept. At this point, you don't have to worry about it. But the other exception is when dealing with global constants. So if we declare this as a constant, then none of our functions can change it. So this is totally acceptable. It's not going to result in unexpected behavior. So here we can get the tax rate and multiply it by the sales, and then we can use our calculate tax function to get the tax and print it on the terminal. So the tax is $2,000. But if we didn't declare this as a constant, then in the main function, we could accidentally set the tax rate to 0. So now when we run our program, the tax is 0. So as a best practice, avoid global variables as much as possible.